Welcome, everyone, to Catching Up with Chris Jones. This is episode 4. Once upon a time in the FLW universe, there was a pro out of Paducah, Kentucky, and he was tearing up every circuit that FLW had to offer. In that route, he amassed $1.5 million in his career, 10 FLW tournament wins, 15 times he's been to the Forest Wood Cup. In 22 years as a tackle warehouse pro circuit professional angler, this guy accomplished many, many things, including the 2003 Angler of the Year title. And then a few years ago, he disappeared. Left.
Wasn't that long ago.
The FLW universe. But I have found him. What is up, Dan Moorhead, man? We miss you. I've been looking for you everywhere. I finally tracked you down. Dan Moorhead, go. What's up, man?
Well, first of all, man, much love at you guys. You make it sound like we don't see each other. Well, you know better now. I see you at high school all the time. But
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? I miss you guys. FLW is, people say it, but it truly is. You guys are my family. Regardless if I'm on the road or not, you still are. And I miss all my buddies out on the road and whatnot. So, I'm not far. I'm just not on the main tour right now. I had to.
We're going to talk about that while you've had to step away, man. And that's let's get into that. Let's get into that right now, man. I know family means everything to you. You've been a big part of high school fishing in Western Kentucky. Go.
Well, I didn't have a lot of choice no matter. I did, but I had to do the right thing. My mom has had some issues, and I just couldn't be away as much as we are when we're doing the tour and doing sponsor related stuff. I just couldn't do it. And we had a rough year last year, but things are better now. She's more stable, and we're doing good. This COVID kind of hit me at a bad time. It hit everybody at a bad time. I'd signed up for a bunch of I still call them coasters, even though I know they're not. I'm out of the loop. But I've signed up for coasters and several divisions of BFLs, and I hadn't got the tour signed up yet, but, you hadn't seen the last of me yet.
I figured that, man. I introed the show with your stats, but, that includes, the 15 Forest Wood Cup appearances is impressive. It's I think you're in the top 5 for most Cup appearances. Then you got 52 FLW top 10s, the $1.5 million. You're a bass fishing millionaire in this game, and you've done so much. We're going to talk about, your career on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, in the Toyota Series as well, in your 2011 Toyota Series championship win. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the Phoenix Bass Fishing League and your accomplishments there. But first off, what have you been doing, man? I know you've been taking care of your mother. I know your family keeps you busy, man. What's been going on in the life of Dan Moorhead the last 2 years? Because I haven't seen you since 2017. And when you left us, you were still making cups, man.
Yeah, again, that decision was kind of made for me. I lost my father back in 2013, and I promised him that I would always be there to take care of mom, and so that's what I've had to do. But and I don't regret a minute of it. I'm 52 years old. I'm a little overweight, but still in good health. So I plan to keep fishing. There'll be time to fish.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I'm still fishing a bunch. Actually, I fish probably more now than I did then. Yeah. I get to fish at home, and I was, of course, for the last 6 years, I've lived on a high school team, with my daughter and everything.
Hey, talk about that, man. Talk about high school fishing and Sarah and what's happened. A lot of people don't know I'm a high school teacher. And I tell people that, and they're always like, when do you do that? Well, I do that when I'm not doing the FLW stuff. But
every Wednesday about 3:15, we meet up in Chris Jones's room, and we have our bass team meeting. We started the team there at McCracken County back in 2000, and I guess spring of 14. I did it to honor my father. Like I said, we lost him in September 13. He always was giving back and wanted to help him. And, at that time, I was seeing some things on the trail that I wasn't real happy with. We were promoting – I won't say we were promoting, but the sportsmanship wasn't kind of what I wanted. So I wanted these kids – I wanted to bring them up old school. We need to have respect and how to do this. And
I love that.
one thing turned into another. I mean, it's been a blessed 6 years. Of course, my daughter was in the middle of it from the very beginning. She's graduated now, but I'm kind of proud that she walked away with a $90,000 scholarship last year from high school bass fishing. So
Gosh,
it
that's
was a good
awesome.
time. but all things, I won't say all things come to an end. My son, he's more into the trap shooting and other sports. I'm still there with the high school team. I'm more of a consultant than I am a coach. But I did my 6 years, so I mean it's time for somebody else to step up.
Yeah.
But no, we've been busy. I mean, the COVID thing has obviously been a rough deal for everybody, and again with my mom, she's got so many of the underlying conditions that make it even worse on her that I don't dare get out in the public or be around anything. I've had to be a little extra cautious, so I've decided to do my patriotic duty, and I've just quarantined on the bow of a 20-foot bass boat, and I've just lived on Kentucky Lake. So me and Sarah have been fishing. I've tried to become a crappie expert, and I failed. No good. But
Hey,
we've
how's
been kept.
Kentucky Lake fishing, man? I mean, we've had the war on carp going on for the last couple of years, man. How's it fishing right now?
Let me break the news to everybody. It's not what it was in the heydays, but I think quite honestly we were spoiled. But it's a lot better than what people are giving it credit for. I spent a lot of time with biologists back in the fall. We did some seminars, me and Bolton did and whatnot, and we had some really good spawns in 2017. You're starting to see those fish become of legal size, 15, 16 inches. We had about 3 weeks ago when the water came up kind of high. We had some of the best bush flipping that I've seen in quite some time. The numbers were really good, and the big fish were really good. So right now, I knock on wood, our water's kind of low right now. There's not a lot of bush flipping, but it's stable. So I think we're going to have a tremendous spawn this year. But Kentucky Lake's fishing pretty good.
That's good to hear, man. I know it's been a major concern for all tournament trails. And it's kind of one of those deals. The numbers were so down. The carp really had put a dent in the bass population that a lot of people just said, "I'm
Well,
not."
Chris, we've talked about it, and I think the numbers are way down. Yes, no doubt the carp have had a major effect. I think what the carp have done is change the habits of the fish, and us being humans, we're creatures of habit.
Yep.
So, just like I've seen my whole life for 40 years, you flip bushes until the 1st of May, and then you run out on the main river channel and fish ledges, and fish just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly convinced that the majority of fish never leave the bank now. You can compete in any tournament year around on Kentucky Lake throwing at the bank.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's great stuff. I'm glad to hear that Kentucky Lake is rebounding, and that's good stuff, man. I'm quarantined just like you are, Danny, with 3 girls about to drive me crazy, man. They're 110 mile an hour at all times. But
hey, bluegill are biting, so that'd keep those girls busy.
There you go. You got it, man. That's in the plans. I promise you. Yep. All right, hey, let's go back in time a little bit. Jump in the time machine and travel back a little bit. We talked about FLW won $1,575,381. You fished bass in the late 90s, early 2000s, and one of their most accomplished decorated anglers of all time too. I think you had 81 bass events, and 3 classics, and 34 times you're in the money. Won a lot of money, $250,000 with bass as well. In 2003, you made a decision. You stepped away from bass and you fished the FLW. And I remember sitting down with you. Back then we did the Stratus World Championship at Old Hickory Lake. And me and you and Jenny, your wife, I think we sat down at a Cracker Barrel. And back then Gary Klaus owned Stratus Boats. Now he owns Phoenix, as you know, and they're our premier boat sponsor with FLW. But we sit down at a Cracker Barrel.
Good manager is right there.
I hear you, buddy, for sure. We sit down at a Cracker Barrel and we had dinner that night after that Stratus World Championship. I think Real was there with us, if you can remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Oh yeah, you said I'm going to fish. I'm fishing FLW from this point forward, man. This is where I want to be, and that went on to lead you to 15 Forest Wood Cups and $1.5 million. So it was a pretty good decision you made, man. What made you come to that decision, FLW over bass?
Looking back, I mean, me and my wife both, when we got married, we spent 3 or 4 years trying to get our careers where we wanted them, and before we started a family. And I loved bass. They were good. They were good people. But at the time, I was traveling fishing both circuits,
Yeah.
and man, that's brutal. And we had, I had my daughter in 2000, and it just got to be too much. I mean, and at the time, my sponsors lined up with FLW. If I liked the lakes that FLW went to. Of course, the money was at that time, and was really getting big in FLW. And again, you guys are family. I mean, I live 19 miles from where FLW used to be based. So I mean, my decision was pretty easy. And looking back on it, I still think it was the best decision I ever made. My last event was in 2002 with bass, and the next year I won Angler of the Year in FLW, and been a good ride.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I'm not done riding that horse yet either.
I guarantee you, man. That year you won almost $300,000 with FLW. You went on to win the 2003. At that time, it was the Kellogg's Angler of the Year. You were on the Kellogg's box, man.
Right there.
I love that trophy, man. I remember your party that you had at the end of the year. It was here in Paducah. I went to that party, and that was a good time. But yeah, that's almost $300,000 in 1 year, and that's that's a big part of that 1.5 million that you won overall, including you won the Walmart Open on Beaver Lake, $200,000 tournament, man, cranking. I remember.
Yep, I watched. I don't know why, but there's a group on Facebook that watch old videos. As a chat bunch, and that Beaver Lake tournament happened to come up. And back then, they did it in 1 part and 2 parts and stuff like that. And
Right.
I watched that again. I guess I am getting old because I'd forgotten some of it, but that was good times.
Definitely, man. Let's talk about the Toyota Series Championship 2011 on Kentucky Lake. That was known as one of the A-Rig tournaments. I think
Yeah.
The FLW Series opens. We had that maybe a few weeks before at Guntersville, and you were part of that tournament. Paul Elias made the Alabama rig famous in that event. And about 2 weeks later, we were on Kentucky Lake out of Paris, and I think you were throwing an A-Rig.
Well, there's a little story behind that. It's kind of funny. Of course, everybody knows that I room with Scott Suggs. He's one of my dearest best friends. And we had been down to Pickwick in early May, pre-fishing for a June tour event. And I met Tammy and her husband, Poss, that, were the inventor of the Alabama rigs. And of course, if you look back on it, we had just come off, we had that tour event on Table Rock where Suggs came in second and I came in third, and he was catching them, his typical suspended way over 100 foot of water.
Yeah.
When I caught that 7:15 spot in.
I remember I waited in.
Yeah. But long story short, we were looking at that A-Rig thinking about that cold water suspended. So we bought them. We bought a bunch, just put it back in our arsenal for the past. And so when the Paul Elias thing hit, I had guns loaded and was ready. But that's in all the tournaments I've done well in and won. That one stands out to me because of, everybody always asks what's the difference between a weekend warrior and a professional, and it's always time on the water and making decisions on the water.
Sure.
And that particular tournament, I had pre-fished. We had a 2 weeks off limits, and I had one of the best pre-fish practices on Kentucky Lake I've ever had in my life. I had 3 days in a row that I could have had 30 pounds on top water. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal, and I was so giddy that I couldn't sleep waiting for that tournament to start. And we had 3 days of practice, and I spent 2.5 days trying to make that topwater pattern work and never caught one, never got a bite. And at the last second, the ninth hour, I abandoned that whole idea and started running. I got a little glimpse of a pattern, and I went back to running spots where I would catch them in March on a jerk bait where they were staging, going in and out of the bays on that Alabama rig. And so, I mean, I literally, a lot of the places I caught those fish during that tournament, I'd never made a cast during practice, or I'd never had an idea. It just was, running a pattern. And so I was really proud of myself, changing on the fly and making that happen. And that was a pretty special event.
Absolutely. You won the 2011 Toyota Series Championship. I'll never forget that event, the A-Rig event. And, a lot of accomplishments in your career, the 2003 Angler of the Year on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, back then known as the FLW Tour, the Toyota Series win. But you know what? I don't know how many anglers have actually accomplished this one. I found one on you. 2004 and 2013 Toyota Series Central Division Angler of the Year. You're also a Phoenix Bass Fishing League former Angler of the Year. I think that was 2016. I think you won the LBL in between the Lakes Division.
Actually, I'm so sore about that. It's actually more. I won that 2 or 3 times, and I know that because I won. They used to give back in the old Redman days. You got a free trip to Hawaii if you were the Angler of the Year.
Yep.
Well, the year after they stopped doing that's when I won, and I got $1,000 instead of a trip to Hawaii.
So you've won that title several times then.
Yeah. I kind of go way back to the Redman days too.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're talking 80s, 90s stuff. But yeah, I mean, how many guys out there have won Phoenix Bass Fishing League Angler of the Year titles, Toyota Series Angler of the Year titles multiple times, and the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Angler of the Year? That's impressive, man.
Well,
that's a great resume, man. You're a legend in this sport, Danny.
That's what you keep telling all my kids on the high school team. I don't feel that way. You know, the 2 things, there's 2 accomplishments that I haven't done yet. And people, they laugh at me and they don't understand. Of course, I want to win the Forrest Wood Cup, and I'm not giving up on that dream one day. I want to win the cup.
So now it's the FLW title, man.
The title. My bad. You're gonna have to put up with me till I get all this. Like I said, I've been hiding in the deer woods. But and the other thing is and I don't know if you changed the name of this, but I've never qualified for the All-American, and that's been a burr under my blanket. I've been, I'd be the first one out. I mean, I've been there. I've tried and tried and tried. Everybody's like, well, you're big touring pro. Why do you fish the BFLs? Because I'm going to make the All-American one day.
Absolutely, man. Hey, so 2016, you won the LBL Division Angler of the Year. Then I noticed something, man, on your resume. You started fishing the Illini Division. Like the last 5 years, and you were 6th in the points in the Illini Division back in 2018, just 2 years ago. Why are you fishing the Illini?
Well, there's a couple, 3 reasons. First of all, I love a challenge. I mean, if you do this, what we do at a high level, you do it because you love the competitiveness, but you do it because what I miss the most about not being on the road is putting the puzzle together on a strange lake. I like to figure it out and put together not only a pattern, but a tournament winning pattern. Well, I mean, I've been fishing Kentucky Lake since 1975. I mean, it's not that I know everything. I learn something new every year, but I go to Illini's, and you hear those guys talking about, oh, it's horrible. They're little fish. They're not many fish, but they're new lakes. And I really enjoy that. I mean, I enjoy, the new people, but the new lakes, putting the puzzle together. And the other thing is back in the heyday, not that long ago, ledge fishing on Kentucky Lake wasn't always a lot of fun. Maybe I am getting older, but I don't enjoy the controversy. I believe old school. If I was there first, don't pull in on me, and I'm not going to pull in on you. And that's not the way things were getting. So I can go to Illinois and pick up a flipping rod. Nobody's going to be in my back pocket.
Yeah.
So that's another reason I did that.
That makes a lot of sense. Again, absolutely. Go ahead.
There's a lot of good hidden lakes over in Illinois. I mean, there really is. And it's, I can still sleep in my own bed and still travel. Yeah, I signed up to fish them again this year.
Attaboy. You're making Phoenix Bass Fishing League regionals. That's the road to the All-American. I know that's one of your goals, man. So that's pretty good stuff. And you're right, man. There's something to be said for something different every now and then. Those lakes, they don't get a lot of credit, but I love that about you. And you're right. Hey, listen, one of the things I talked to Larry Nixon about just about a week ago, in that last episode, or episode number 2, was ethics.
Yeah.
And, we're seeing a lot of that changing. You remember the Jason Lambert thing that happened a couple years ago on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, and kind of the controversy that created. Yeah, you know what? Competition is at an all-time high. Electronics are is better than they've ever been, and people are finding the same stuff. And that's one of the reasons we're running the FLW high school camps. One of the seminars that we do is over ethics and talking about unwritten rules of it all. And I know you're big on that, and that's Craig County High School with that the bass fishing team. I know you talk a lot about that, and you can see it in those high school tournaments, man. Your kids are respectful and they're well coached.
Yeah, they get a tongue lashing from Coach Dan if I see him doing something I don't like.
I know they do. I know they do. Let's talk about the pro circuit, man. You keeping up with the Tackle Warehouse pro circuit these days? You still keeping up with your boy Terry Bolton?
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm like Nixon said, if it's on the computer or my iPad, I'm watching it. So yeah, I'm one of those silent stalkers. I'm watching all the time. But man, there's so many new guys. Wow. Been a
There it
big
is.
turnover of people. But yeah, of course, I got to root on my boy Bolton. He's still my homie.
Got his first win last year at Sam Rayburn. I know you love Sam Rayburn. You've done well there. That was a big
Yeah.
moment for him.
Man, I was screaming louder. I'm surprised he didn't hear me. But yeah, that was a good win. I was proud of him.
Absolutely. You keep up with Suggs? He's fishing Major League Fishing, the BPT.
Yeah, I keep up with Suggs about once a week.
Sorry to hear that.
Comparing, yeah, I know that. Well, he's turkey hunting right now, so he's really hard to get a hold of. But he's been. I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the crappie in Arkansas. I think he's trying to single-handedly catch them all.
That's great, man. That's shoot. He's a great guy, and one of those things, man. He was our first $1 million instant millionaire when he won the Forest Wood Cup back. I think that was 2007. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a neat moment. That's a historical moment in the industry. It's kind of one of those things. He was always pretty easy to root for, man. Just a great guy. Hey, let's talk about 1998. Let's go back in the time machine one more time. 1998. Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit back then, again known as the FLW Tour, Kentucky Lake. You have a magical fish catch in the closing moments on Championship Sunday to walk away champion. Talk about that fish catch, man, because people still talk about that fish catch, man. You needed that one, that number 5, right? You need that one kicker, and you got it.
Well, going back in time, I'd qualified the first 3 days on Barkley. The bush bite or the spawning bite was slowly fading, but I rode that horse until I could. And you got to keep in mind, back then we were running 150s. Evinrude had come out with a fixed engine, and so we were running the 150s. And I was making a long run down South Barkley, and somewhere about 11 o'clock, I only had 3 fish in the live well, and I knew it was dying on the vine. And they were 3 pounds each, but I knew to beat Guido, I was going to have a good day. And I had a friend of mine that had made, at that time, if I remember correctly, we cut to the top 10, then we went to the top 5. Well, a buddy of mine from here at home, Teddy Wynn, had made the top 10. And Teddy's known for crankbait fishing. I mean, was an offshore legend back in the day here on Kentucky Lake. And of course, we were talking at the weigh-in, and he was winking at me that they had started to make the move out on the ledges. So, of course, Barkley's always behind. I knew Kentucky would be ahead as far as those fish moving out. And so, again, about 11 o'clock, I pulled the plug, and I wrapped the flipping rods up and put them in the box, and I made about an hour-long run all the way back to Kentucky Lake because I knew a place, if they showed up early, they'd be there. And sure enough, I got there and got lined up on it, and I caught a 5 and a 4 and a 3 on back-to-back cast. And I still had a little time left, but back then we had I think it was Jerry McKinnis, flying around in the helicopter. And when he came around and was hovering over me on that helicopter, that shut the school down, game over. But it was enough it was already enough to win the tournament. So that was a special day. No
Absolutely.
doubt.
Your family was there. It was the Walmart out by the Paducah Mall, Paducah, Kentucky.
Yep. I
was just a fan in the stands, baby.
Hey man, I was I was scared to death to go home that night because they, people didn't know it, but they presented me with a suitcase full of $100 bills. I mean, they gave me $100,000 cash on stage. Of course, afterwards they take that money back and they put a direct deposit in your account. But I was afraid to go home because I figured all of Paducah thought I was sitting on $100,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good time.
Hey, that's one of those. That's a memorable fish catch, man. I mean, that's one of those I rank that up there in my top 5 of all time. I'll never forget that. It was right there at the closing minutes, man, on a Championship Sunday, and you walked away.
Still got the bait.
Bigger bait, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Hey, let's talk
Jerry
about
Stakely back in the days. He posed. Well, I just going to say, Jerry Stakely, back then, Pose was a sponsor of Red Man, and we'd go up there to the office, and he'd let me dig through and get a bait or two every now and then, and that's what I won that tournament on, was that 400 Pose.
Wow. Hey, those
Yeah,
are still good baits, man.
I got plenty of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cedarwood crankbait. It's good stuff, man. Hey, we're at home right now doing this, man. COVID-19 is real. Let's talk about your wife, man, because she is in like a direct line of on the war against the coronavirus, man. What's going on with you guys? I know you're fighting it, literally fighting it.
Well, that's a good segment leads in, again, we were talking about family, but my wife is an executive director from one of the big doctors here in town, Dr. Turnbow. I love him to death. I mean, he is a great man. And when all this stuff went down, things weren't moving fast enough to suit him as far as testing and stuff like that. And of course, they were shutting everything down. So my wife was in charge of the wellness side at the time. Well, they put her in charge of putting together a drive-through testing center. And so, it's a small town community. We all came together and they started, figuring out what they needed. And they needed, doing different stations, obviously, for protecting everybody, not only the clients, but the workers. And they needed a trailer, or they wanted a trailer or something that had a stage and had, well, obviously, the first thing I thought of was, hey, FLW is not using their trailer. So I picked the phone up and called Kathy Fennell. And within less than 24 hours, I had a FLW weigh-in trailer sitting down here on the church parking lot. And I think they shut our businesses down on the 23rd, and they came in, and we had some contractors donate time and labor and everything, and built in a big drive-through garage on a church. And less than 3 days later, they're testing people for COVID, and are still to this day. You got to do what you got to do to take care of the community.
That's right, man. Our thoughts and prayers are with Jenny and all you guys, and very thankful for Dr. Turnbow and getting that FLW trailer up and going, man. I think that's what it's all about. We're all in this together. That is 100% for sure.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what politics, religion. We're all in this one together.
Absolutely. So thoughts and prayers go out to Jenny, man. She's in the direct line in that war against COVID-19. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your real passion, archery.
Yep.
You love shooting the bow, man. You love hunting. I see your deer heads, your mounts are behind you there, above your Angler of the Year trophies, and that's probably where they need to be, because that's kind of on the top of your priority list, man. That's your real passion, isn't it?
It is. It always has been. Back in the day, it's hard to shoot quote unquote professional archery and be on the road like we were. So I stabbed at it and whatnot, but I shot a lot of archery. I used it for a getaway, because it's archery and fishing are so mental. That's one of the reasons. 52 years old. I feel like I can still compete with these guys because my mind's still sharp.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons I loved archery so much. I still do. I still shoot, all the time. My daughter, of course, she's now more on the tournament scene archery wise than I am. She's got 3 state titles and 3 Southeast sectionals, and ranked 3rd in the nation right now in her division. But my problem is my eyes. It's hard to compete with these young guys. If you can't see it, you can't hit it. So I don't know, one of these days, if we get out of this mess, I'm going to have my eyes looked into. But yep, I'm still shooting a bow and still chasing deer.
Yeah, sounds like Andy Morgan.
Yeah. Hey.
That's another guy you used to run the trail with.
Oh, we need to do another one of these shows, and we'll just tell Andy stories.
I love it, man. I think that's awesome. Well, you know what? I think talking about high school fishing, we've talked a lot about that in this show, and how much influence you've had on the McCracken County High School bass fishing team. But their second year, they won a runner-up in the state tournament on Kentucky Lake. No surprise with you coaching them there, but I think you can definitely be proud of their success there. And you know what? I've got your son in class, Van. He tells stories on me, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We won't go into that, but it's all good. A great student. He's a straight A student, man. I know Sarah's in college now, and I know how proud you and Jenny are of your kids. They're well-mannered, respectful, and I think, that's a big reflection on you. That's a big reflection on your lifestyle, hunting and fishing, man. It's God's sports.
Well, I give most of that credit to Jenny. I don't deserve the 2 I've got, but again, I never have any problems with them. They're straight A's. And of course, I don't know if it's good or bad. They're bigger rednecks than I am. I mean, all they want to do is be outside. So, if we're playing garden or bluegill fishing, or man, I've walked 1,000,000 miles this year shed hunting, looking for antlers. I mean, we're always doing something outside.
Absolutely. I love it, man. Hey, look, the year you won the 2003 Angler of the Year title on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, I was looking at those anglers that fished back then. They're the best in the world, man. Best in the world. A lot of those anglers now, I know you still keep in touch with them. You're good friends. A lot of them are fishing with Major League Fishing, the Bass Pro Tour. And, it's kind of one of those things that, we partnered up with them. They acquired FLW last fall, and they've helped take FLW and this industry to the next level. And at some point, we want to see Dan Moorhead back on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. Is that going to happen?
It is. I guess now's a great time to play it. I need a title sponsor, Chris. So
this is your time, man. This is your time. You plug it.
Well, I mean, you've already did my resume for me, so I mean, I think I've got the resume, and I still got the know-how. So I mean, and I still got plenty of rods and reels, so I'm ready. Yes, one of these days there'll come a time that if they'll have me, I'll be back out there for sure. And I'd love to be out there doing the Major League Fishing deal and trying that to me, because that's one of the things I always used to pride myself on, and I don't fault anybody. Everybody's got their own style, but I never was one to call and get help. I always like to figure the puzzle out on myself. And so I don't know. I just got to believe that style would, or that, format would fit my style. But who knows? We'll see.
Well, this is your time, Danny Manny. Anybody you want to give a shout out to, sponsors, anybody watching anywhere in the FLW universe?
Well, yeah, you kind of hit me off guard with my thunder. I wanted to thank FLW, and tell that story about I called Kathy and told her. I mean, I didn't even get 30 seconds out of what we were trying to do, and Jenny and Dr. Turnbow, and I mean, they were all hands on deck. I had Daniel Finland, all them down there bringing the trailer and setting it up. Family's family, brother. If I'm there or not, we're still family. And not just FLW, but all my fishing friends. We're all in this together. But sponsorship-wise, yeah, I'm still running my Ranger. 27 years strong with Evinrude. I don't know anything better.
27 years, wow.
It's all I've ever known. That's all I've ever had. I'm still fishing with Dale Black and Gamma Fishing Line, Zoom baits. They've never questioned me. Anything I need, they take care of me. Still the best baits in the market. But no, life is good, man. I can't complain. Just waiting for this to get over with. I'm ready to start fishing. I've got a lot of fishing to do this year.
Well, I might see you at an All-American before I see you back on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. But I can tell you this, man, I know it's your dream. You're one of the guys that has helped build this great game into what it is today, a true legend in the sport, and still young in the sport, man. So we're gonna look forward to seeing you back with FLW, the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit at some point, man, not too far down the road.
Well, I want to get back before Bolton retires, because I got to have somebody to room with.
I love it. Danny, thanks for joining me on the show today, man.
Give the girls a hug for me, Chris.
No, we'll definitely do it. Your family as well, man. I love you.
All right. Stay safe.
You got it. You too, man. Hey, listen, for all things fishing in the FLW universe, log on to FLWfishing.com. It's the world's most popular competitive fishing website. And, hey, I'll be back next week with another pro talking all things fishing. Until then, God bless.